Good evening again. I'd like to call the committee of the whole for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, July 21st, 2020 to order with roll call, please.
Betts.
Here.
Collier.
Here.
Cavelli.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
McAlpine.
Here.
Weinhammer.
Here.
Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now moving to the public comment portion. Mr. Miller, do you have any comments for us tonight?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the single item on the main agenda is a discussion regarding rebuild funds and available grant opportunity. Who's going to take this one?
Eric's got
Eric?
some slides here that we're going to zip through.
And Courtney's come out of her cave over there. Huh?
I'll give Courtney a second to get set up. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
She's ready. She's born ready, Eric.
He's always ready. There's a 3-second lag on my video here. So. But again, thank you for the chance to speak with you about an exciting topic for us on our end. It's the pursuit of free money from other sources. And with this, we have a discussion tonight to talk about 2 funding sources in particular. One, which has already been provided to the village via the state of Illinois' Rebuild Illinois bond funds, and then a funding opportunity that is out there, the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program. So I'll start off with an introduction and summary of the 2 funding sources before we get into some of the potential projects that are out there. And I'll have Courtney take over and give an update on these 2 funds.
Sure. So the first one here is the Rebuild Illinois bond funds. Those funds are dispersed through IDOT from the Transportation Bond Series A fund. And those funds are based on the motor tax formula. So the Village of Cary's expected total allotment is around $1.2 million. And then these funds are going to be distributed over 3 years with 2 deposits each year. We've gotten 1 so far. And so these projects must be bondable improvements, so you could not use this money on resurfacing, for example, no maintenance work. And we have to decide how these funds will be used within 1 year, and then we have to use those funds by July 1st of 2025. And then ITEP, or Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program, those funds are administered and managed by IDOT, and then eligible projects must enhance transportation systems. So once again, something like resurfacing is not eligible. These projects are capped at $2 million, but up to 80% of the total project cost can be requested with a 20% local match, and you are able to use the rebuild funds as your local match. The call for proposals opens August 21st, but applications are due November 2nd. So we have a bit of a window there to apply.
All right. So the main reason we're discussing this evening is because the sequence in which we apply for these funds, particularly the ITEP program, given that it's a competitive grant process, does have a bearing on perhaps almost a trickle-down effect on what that would be remaining for us to use the Rebuild Illinois funds for. So what we've done is taken a look at our multi-year CIP that was most recently looked at with our last budget process and identified 3 projects that were at least most likely to score the best through the ITEP process. We would like to receive the committee's feedback on which projects you would like to see applied for in the ITEP process, and then in turn, what then should be applied towards with our Rebuild Illinois money. So the first of these 3 projects that are ITEP eligible is a project we've seen many times in our budget process. It's our downtown streetscape project. This project had been previously applied for in the last call for projects and cycle for the ITEP process. We were unsuccessful at that time. However, it does still remain a very solid competitive project. One approach that staff is looking at and suggesting this time around to increase its competitiveness in the process would be to implement and add an additional pedestrian or bicycle aspect to the project. A lot of the points that are scored for your proposals with the ITEP program are based in part on how the transportation system is enhanced, how additional modes of transportation are integrated, and other ways that alternative transportation modes are encouraged. So one approach to further strengthen our downtown project would be to incorporate a bikeway or bike route system to help improve the bikeability into the downtown from the west. So the corridor from Carrick-Algonquin Road on West Main Street towards downtown could be altered to include a combination of either bike lanes or bike routes. One way to do that could be a system of bike lanes from Wolf Street over to just west of downtown, and maybe in parallel with a bike route along Krenz for cyclists of different skill levels that might need a less busy road to cycle on. This is just a look at our existing conditions on West Main Street. It is currently a urban 3-lane section, so 1 lane each direction with a bidirectional center turn lane. And given the limited number of turning movements that are experienced on that roadway, it's a grid system in an older part of town, that there is an opportunity to do what traffic engineers like to call a road diet, and we reduce 3 lanes down to 2 lanes. So 1 travel lane each direction still remains, but then that gives us room and opportunity for striped on-street bike lanes. And then the renderings to the right just depict the similar downtown Streetscape project that had been proposed back as part of the master plan in 2016 and engineered, and is currently a shovel-ready project. This version does have some slight modifications to fit within the parameters of the total project budget, and also to limit the size of the local share that would be required should we receive the ITEP funding. So the limits would be as previously seen from High Road to Spring Street. The main differences from the original plan are the elimination of the gateway column and the illuminated custom benches, which were sequenced in all these different pads alongside the roadway. We would still include brand new black metal powder coated benches, but at a more streamlined cost, but a similar updated look. The proposal would still include the full catenary lighting over the roadway, with the addition of the lighting that wasn't in the previous design over the Spring Street intersection, which was shown in the budget process to complement the widening of the sidewalk, which is part of the current capital plan this year. And hopefully we'll start construction later this summer. And then on the west end, the other difference from the original Streetscape project plan is the inclusion of the High Road intersection. So including these 4 corners of the sidewalk improvements, some crosswalk treatments, and then the modernization of the very old traffic signal equipment that's out there. That is in our multi-year CIP. What we would be looking to use this grant project to try and get some of that necessary capital work included in the grant. Next project that could be ITEP eligible is the First Street corridor. So similar to West Main Street, this is one of our major collective roadways. This goes north-south through town. It does include 1 lane each direction. Oftentimes it's just 2 wide lanes. In some areas it does have some center striping as you approach the intersections with 3 Oaks and Route 14. One of the good facets of this project that makes it a good ITEP candidate is the multitude of destinations that surround this corridor that could be reached not just by vehicle and by car, but by bicycle and on foot. So one of the ways that we can get this project and the resurfacing of the roadway included in the grant would be to utilize and take that opportunity to change the pavement for a bikeway corridor. And this can be done in 2 ways. First could be through on-street bike lanes, much like West Main Street, which we would suggest including in areas where there's not many driveway access points in the roadway, and the areas alongside some of the churches, the parks, and the schools that are along the corridor. And in the few areas where there are houses that face First Street and have driveways that directly access that road, we could switch that to a striped on-street parking lane. which when there aren't cars parked there, cyclists have a separate area outside the main travel lane to give themselves a bit of space and comfort level while cycling, and then just have to pass parked cars and merge with traffic, much like if they were riding in the regular road lane as they would do now. A third project, which has potential to be ITEP eligible, would be to incorporate the trail system in Rotary Park and use that as a connection to other regional trails in the area that currently exist or are planned in the future. The image you see here on the left is an excerpt from the Route 31 corridor study that Director Simmons and his team with our consultants had been working on and planning. I captured that here just to demonstrate that Rotary Park does currently reside kind of central to many access points that could be connected with regards to our bikeway and trail system network. There's an existing trail that's currently there alongside the east edge of Route 31. We have the current existing path along Cary-Algonquin Road, which stops over at Fox Trails Drive South. And then another benefit of living in the village of Cary, obviously, is the wide variety of open space and recreational activities that are around. We have Hoffman Park to the north of our own Rotary Park, with a lot of existing programmed activity areas and a trail system that's going to be expanded next year through an ITEP grant that the Park District received recently. And you have Conservation District land to the southeast and possibly some other future programmed area once mining stops on the village of Algonquin side of Clausen Road. So currently with that program, paving circular trails within a park are not eligible. So while this project is, I think, with the facets of connecting this and using our park as the connection to these different major regional trails that exist or that would be done in the future, specifically Cary-Algonquin Road to the south of Clausen Road towards the village of Algonquin. We think it may have some merits and some consideration. However, we do feel like the downtown project and the First Street project probably have a higher chance of scoring, but we still wanted to show this option, an opportunity for the committee and the board to consider. So here in yellow, you see our existing gravel trail system and trail network around Cary Lake over at Rotary Park. The connection to Route 31 would be handled via Park District's upcoming path network in Hoffman Park. So that does connect to our existing stub, the north end of our park, up to the north and around to the west. And then they also will have connections up to the north towards the dog park and their existing trail network up along West Main Street, and also to the east, which would tie back into Fox Trails subdivision and over even further to the east, back towards the Cary-Algonquin Road path. And then the other element that we think will help its consideration as a regional trail connector would be the extension of the path where it ends at Fox Trails Drive, and bring that down into a part of some village-owned property by a lift station and up into Rotary Park. That has the benefit of, instead of going all the way down to Clausen Road, avoiding a ravine and a creek crossing where there's some challenging grades that will either require some expensive earthwork or possibly a bridge to accommodate that path extension. Here we can stay on land, a little bit of hilly terrain to navigate some wooded areas, but there does seem to be a potential route to get from Cary-Algonquin Road over into the park. So those are the three main projects that we identified that from our CIP that could be ITEP eligible. So here's where we kind of like your feedback on three different options that we've kind of laid out. And obviously there's some other combinations that we can explore based on your comments and feedback this evening and moving forward. The first option would be to utilize the ITEP application for the downtown corridor project. So that would be the full downtown project of not just our streetscape, but signal modernization and some kind of bikeway or bike lanes from the west on West Main Street. And then we go through a little decision tree here, depending on the results of that competitive grant. If the village were successful in the ITEP grant, then obviously we would pay for 80% or so of that project with ITEP funds. The balance of that would then, for the local match, would be handled with the Rebuild Illinois bond funds. And then there would still be enough of that $1.2 million or so of that money to fund either the First Street project or not a full trail connection, but at least maybe pave the internal trails at Rotary Park. And of course, if we weren't successful in the ITEP grant, the recommendation would be to utilize our Rebuild Illinois bond funds for at least the streetscape portion of that project that we showed you before. Option 2 switches up a bit. It puts the First Street project in the ITEP application candidacy. And if we were successful with that, then we would pay for that 80% with the ITEP funds, the balance with Rebuild Illinois money. And then again, we'd have enough remaining to fund the streetscape portion of that downtown project. The third option, if the board wants us to try and pursue that, we could look into that Rotary Park Regional Trail Connection project. And again, if it's successful with ITEP from that project, and then the remaining money could be used to handle the downtown streetscape project. So with that, I'll pull it back to the options here in a sec. I would entertain any feedback or comments you might have.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with trustees present at the meeting. What are your thoughts on this presentation?
I'll go first. I like option 1, just with the downtown corridor, starting with that first. And I'd like the Rotary Park end of it, but I think with everything else going on, we can wait to see what comes in on that. So I'm definitely in favor of option 1 at this point.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in favor of option 1. I feel that a lot of people do use downtown, and Rotary Park, not as many. So I think option 1.
Okay.
Boy, broken record. I am also in favor with option 1. First, I like all of them. I'd love for us to be able to do all of them. But I think when you're trying to rate them, I'm looking at the return on the investment. And I feel like putting money into your downtown. We just had Lakota Group talking about what we're looking to do with some of that stuff with some grant money on that as well for setting up a design. I just think that you're going to get your biggest bang for the buck on option 1. But I like all of them.
Thank you. Trustee Cavelli? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I like option 1 the best. And then I agree, I would look at option 3 after that. That would be my, how I would prefer.
Thank you. Trustee Krause?
I like option 1 also. I had a question though about the West Main bike lanes.
Sure.
Does that mean we're going to be giving up that middle lane and we'd be back down to 2-lane Main Street?
Eric, I'll defer to you.
Yes, that is correct. At least for the segment from Wolf towards downtown, that would be the case. But there could be alternatives that in getting that bikeway corridor on that west entry to downtown, it could be accomplished in other ways as we got further into the application process. We do have Krenz Avenue parallel to West Main Street. Like I mentioned, it's a very wide roadway, far less traffic, a little more peaceful atmosphere from a cyclist perspective. With some wayfinding signage, we could establish a parallel bike route on that side of the project, and just try to find a way to get it back towards that Carroll signal to get you to the trail to the west. So it's, to answer your question, that's one way to approach the project and try to get that bicycle point scored for us in the ITEP process, but it's not necessarily the only way.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a part of the criteria that we need to move forward with trying to apply for the grant.
Yes, it's a little extra to do this process, but it kind of pays for itself by getting the grant awarded.
Okay, I like the downtown streetscape, and that I'm very much in favor of that, moving forward with that. But I wouldn't be in favor of having the bike lanes on Main Street. So if we could do something with Krenz Avenue, I'd be much more in favor of moving that direction. Or Krenz Avenue, I'm sorry.
Okay. Trustee Weinhammer?
Okay, so I also have a question. Eric, what was the dollar amount that we could potentially be receiving for the grant?
So the ITEP grant would cover approximately 80% of the total construction cost.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say option 1 as well, and then followed by option 3. So I'm just also thinking, and I guess I have another question. So let's say that we did go with option 1 and we were awarded that with the grant. When we have the other option 2 and 3, is that a separate grant that's being applied for it, or is it leftover funds, or how does it work?
No, these are just different options for the same process. So specifically options for which project do we apply for in ITEP, and then which project, once we determine or receive the results of that application, which project do we build with the funds we do have available for sure, which would be the Rebuild Illinois Bond funds.
We would, Trustee Weinhammer, we would still have those projects in our CIP, in our capital plan. So obviously, if there was funding that became available, other grant opportunities, we'd certainly look at these projects as well as other ones that we have in our CIP, our 5-year CIP.
Okay. Well, thank you for looking into this and finding this information. And I'm also going to say option 1 followed by option 3.
Okay.
So I'm hearing, it looks like it's unanimous that the preference is to pursue ITEP funding or try to with the downtown project. And then if successful, then the remaining Rebuild Illinois Bond funds we would like to see towards Rotary Park.
Yep.
Okay.
It's great feedback. We appreciate that. It's a rare opportunity, as Director Morimoto had outlined, that we're getting about $1.2 million from the state of Illinois right now. So we'll take it, and we got plenty of projects, as you can see, to put it towards.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it. No other comments on that?
Good job.
All right, thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee, Illinois 120/2C1.
So
And
moved.
for closed session minutes review, Illinois 120/2C21.
So moved.
Second.
We have to do a full roll call on this, so be patient. Roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
and Weinhammer.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, we will convene in just a moment once we clear the boardroom.
Sorry, Dave.